Hello Internet, my name is Daniel O'Brien and welcome to another thoughtful and respectful episode of Obsessive Pop Culture Disorder, the only show on the internet that Kevin Smith calls, Kevin Smith respectfully declines your invitation to have him appear on your website. Exciting stuff. Today's episode explores... The Ewoks are a small mammalian race of adorable teddy bear creatures in the Star Wars universe who live on a forest moon of Endor. Depending on how old you were when you first saw Return of the Jedi, you either have a nostalgia-fueled, knee-jerk affection for them, or they're the stupid cartoony bullshit that ruined your cool adult space movie. And today we're going to talk about how they're terrifying. Because they're tiny mouths? Is it because of their tiny mouths and their, like the dead shark eyes? Is that it? Is that why? Okay, I guess we'll find out. It's really easy to dismiss the Ewoks as a bunch of cute savages that are kind of dumb. Their clothes, weapons, and dwellings are all incredibly primitive, they speak a nonsense language, and they're just so damn huggable, it wouldn't be unreasonable for you to assume that all of their battle victories were happy accidents. Except it would be unreasonable. Don't forget that the Ewoks managed to capture Han Solo, a famously difficult-to-capture scoundrel, and Luke, a Jedi f***ing master. It took 6 bounty hunters and the focus of the entire galactic empire to catch Han the first time around, and the Ewoks got the jump on him with a bunch of sharp sticks, and Luke is literally magic. But it could be argued that Luke allowed the capture to take place, knowing that he would eventually Jedi mind trick them into obedience. Except this isn't an isolated incident, because the Ewoks show off their competence all over the damn place. Look at this scene.
Look, over there! Stop him!
That Ewok doesn't make a wrong move on that speeder bike. He got on the thing, spent a fraction of a second studying it, and then immediately knew the right sequence of buttons and levers to press to get that thing flying, and he promptly then used it to murder stormtroopers. He's not poking buttons wildly. He got one look at the thing and instantly was like, beat up, goes, and figured it out, because Ewoks are either magic or tech geniuses. Also, they took down the Galactic Empire's forces. This is the most powerful entity in the galaxy with seemingly unlimited resources, and they have a station on Endor's forest moon to protect their most important device, the Death Star, and they got full-blown wrecked by the Ewoks. That's like the American army losing a battle to chipmunks. The Ewoks beat the Empire because they're clever and strong, and they don't give a fuck. I bring this up because I don't want anyone to think the Ewoks are clumsy and lucky. They have an innate ability to understand complex technology, which literally no species has. Possessing an ability to immediately understand foreign technology is an insane evolutionary advantage. Intelligence and ruthlessness might be the most terrifying combination, and the Ewoks have it. Look at this asshole. Look at this asshole's head. What is that thing? I'll tell you. It's the face of some animal that is objectively more terrifying than the Ewoks on a superficial level, and this Ewok killed it and made it a hat. Made a hat out of its head. He is showing us that he, a cute thing, is more terrifying than a legitimately terrifying looking thing. And before you in the comments tell me that the animal to whom that head belongs is called a boar wolf, don't, because I already know it is. I just didn't mention it because it isn't relevant to what I'm talking about right now. Pointing out what it's called doesn't get you anything. You're not contributing when you do this. And don't for a second assume that I didn't know it. Don't ever try to out Star Wars me. I woke up earlier than you did. Anyway, ruthlessness. Yeah, the Ewoks are tough and scary, and that's not just based on their tendency to wear hats made out of previous enemy faces. They're not just scrappy underdogs. They're not just primitively defending themselves against the Empire with simple spears and arrows. Here is what Wikipedia, a thoroughly researched Star Wars database, says about the Ewoks' tools. Their arrows were tipped with a potent neurotoxin, ensuring that anyone who was shot by them would die in an extremely gruesome manner. Even seeming minor wounds would result in the victim clawing off any headgear, if they're wearing any, and gasping for air, the neurotoxin paralyzing every single muscle in the victim's body, including their lungs. This isn't a peaceful teddy bear planet that borrowed a chapter out of the Home Alone book on defense strategy with a bunch of cute traps. These are brutal monsters who want to cause cruel and unusual pain. Was that a They Shoot Horses reference? Deep cut. Anyway, the Ewoks eat people. We know that when they capture Luke and Han, they tie them up to a spit and bring them to what would be a big fire for what would be a big feast. Those cute little teddy bears were gonna eat the shit out of our heroes, which, I have a lot of complicated feelings about that because the Ewoks are clearly omnivores, but look at their teeth. They have no clear, developed incisors, so evolutionarily speaking, they aren't designed for tearing and eating meat. Their teeth aren't sharp enough, which to me means they aren't supposed to eat meat, but they still clearly do. So like, what's that about? Is that for the thrill? No one clicked on this video for a long aside about teeth evolution, so whatever. But I mean, remember it. But in the meantime, hey, do not ever forget this. Aw, the Ewoks are celebrating their victory by playing music using the now empty helmets of dead soldiers. We already know that the Ewoks eat human meat, and we know that they killed a bunch of stormtroopers and Imperial guards, and we see them drumming on these helmets, so you do the math, or don't, because I did. The Ewoks ate the brains of the stormtroopers that they brutally murdered, and now they're playing folk songs on their helmets. Oh, what do you think happened? You think they killed the stormtroopers, then gave them a proper burial before using their empty helmets to respectfully pay tribute to the loss? Wake up! They ate those brains and faces. Look at them bludgeoning these stormtroopers. Also at that party, I love that Luke and Leia and Han are playing along, but I bet as soon as they got back on the ship home, they're probably like, that was f***ed up, right? They made me eat Stormtrooper. I was worried it'd be insulting if I didn't have some, but gross, right? Oh yeah, the dress. The Ewoks put Leia in that dress that she's wearing. This is probably a small thing. Wicket the Ewok befriends Leia, which is why he doesn't eat her immediately. And when we see her in their Tree City, she's wearing a nice dress. A nice, human-sized dress. Leia didn't bring that dress along with her, and I don't imagine there are in-house dressmakers that can put a dress together in under an hour, which means they had that dress, which means that's the dress of a dead woman. No Ewok could fit in that dress, so that's the dress of the last humans who were on the forest moon of Endor. Maybe it's just a leftover dress from someone who died naturally, or maybe it's the dress they put on all of the people they're about to sacrifice. We don't know, but it's clear that I think it's the second thing. I assume that's a leftover dress from a human they previously sacrificed. They also, and this isn't a point, but they seem like there's something really off about their bodies. Like, my friend and I were talking about this, and she said that she thought if you held one, you would feel like something was wrong and different on the inside. It's like if you see, like, there's a lifelike animatronic dog, and it totally looks like a real dog, but then you held it, you could feel the robot parts inside instead of bones, and you'd be like, that's not right, this isn't something that is right, right? Like, the inside is some kind of weird perversion of what should be, and it brings me to mind, okay, join us next time when our topic will be, script says, a Greek gangster comes up behind me and stabs me, and then we just like cut like abruptly, like so the audience doesn't know if I come back, like as a cliffhanger. So they have to come back next time to see if I lived. Did we not?
Pathetic child. You think you can turn him? I cannot be betrayed. I cannot be beaten. I see his mind. It's really weird. I see his every intent. Yes. I see him turning the lightsaber to kill the ugliest person in the room. And now, foolish child, he ignites it to penetrate. Me?
Here I go!
Do we need to die if our boss is already dead?
It's actually your turn.
Oh, right.
No. You're still holding on! Let go! You're nothing. You come from nothing. Your planet, nothing. Your parents,
Ben, no.
nothing. Your adopted dad, Simon Pegg in a fat suit, a bunch of nothing. Join me. You're insane!
I see him turning the lightsaber to strike true. Any second now. Ooh, it's gonna be bad. Just you wait and see. He ignites it and kills his true enemy!
Sorry. I was just drinking a jar of my own. Never mind! Welcome to Reckless Disagreement, the only show on the internet you can trust. I'm your host, a timid megalomaniac, and the last time you watched Star Wars, did you find yourself wondering where the rebels got the plans for the Death Star? If so, here's your answer. Or if you prefer an overcomplicated version, Alright, look, I've never made a prequel. In fact, I've never made a movie at all and probably shouldn't be so smug when I'm making fun of them. But I've got some opinions about Rogue One. The mainstream media would have you believe that it's just a good movie about some Star Wars, but I found a copy under some boxes while I was digging around for food last week, and I watched it, and folks, it is so much more than that. Rogue One is an attack on everything you hold dear because it makes all the things that happen in Star Wars ridiculous. The good guys become bad, the bad guys become stupid, and the plot becomes pointless. Everything just topsy-turvy to hell and back. So let me finish this and we'll get right to it. Yeah, it's definitely better if I let it cool down. And she compared Darth Vader to a naughty puppy.
Governor Tarkin, I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash.
Or an abused child. And most impressively, in her very first scene, she keeps her wits about her in a stressful situation, improvising a clever lie to keep the Death Star plans safe from Vader's aggressive gesticulations.
I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor.
At least that seemed clever in 1977. When Rogue One came out, it revealed that Leia was trying to get away with her Imperial Senate line 5 minutes after a gritty and action-packed laser light show. She was just on the front lines of the very first battle of a Star War, and now she's all, what? That wasn't me. Vader saw her get the plans. What we thought was a badass defiance becomes, with this context, as pathetic and unconvincing as a panicked 15-year-old insisting that the pack of American spirits in her jacket is totally Jessica's. Or like someone saying to the cops, seriously, Ossifer, I has been jinxing, as her overturned Camaro explodes behind her. Also, this is a different thing. Vader knows she has the plans and is a traitor, so why didn't she just blow up her ship? Why didn't Vader just blow up her ship? Why didn't Vader You know what? Never mind. Rogue One is not kind to Leia's legacy, and I'm talking about more than just that creepy CGI face. I'm talking about this.
An analysis of the plans provided by Princess Leia.
Oh, they were obtained by Princess Leia, were they? What was her contribution again?
The transmission we received.
Oh, so like a 5-minute walk. Cool. I understand that she's important, and I'm not trying to cut down Leia, but how come nobody ever mentions the spy who built the fatal flaw into the Death Star in the first place?
I've placed a weakness deep within the system. A flaw so small and powerful they will never find it.
Or that spy's daughter, Jyn, who sacrificed her life to steal those plans. Or her buddy Cassian, who's been casually offing civilians in the name of the rebellion since childhood, apparently.
I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old.
Think maybe they deserve some credit. Oh, and then there was that blind guy with the stick. And this guy. He was, like, brave. Then there's all the people who died in that giant battle. Leia's the most famous and least important member of a huge team, but she gets all the credit, like the rebellion's Stan Lee. And wait, if the rebellion has been going on since Cassian was 6, how come they've only now managed to gather their forces?
We've only now managed to gather our forces.
Seems like the rebellion kind of blows. More on that in a bit. First, let's talk about Grand Moff Tarkin, like Leia, spends most of his Star Wars casually throwing shade at an 8-foot-tall robot space wizard.
I'm taking an awful risk, Vader. This had better work.
What a boss, right? It turns out he's just some f***ing guy taking credit from director Krennic, who actually designed and built the Death Star.
I will tell him that I will be taking control over the weapon I first spoke of years ago, effective immediately.
We stand here amidst my achievement!
Krennic's sort of a whiner, but it's also hard to be intimidated by Tarkin now that I know he's just one of the Bobs from Office Space. That shouty nerd was overseeing the project from the beginning and even personally recruited the people who made the weapon possible. Now, I know space office politics is like not the most interesting thing to be talking about in this video, but this is the second time Rogue One has gone out of its way to let us know that a character we once thought was cool isn't actually cool. The Empire is run by a bunch of scheming suits, and not the scary kind of scheming. The annoying kind of scheming that makes you unpopular. This last shot is very different if the Empire is just Dilbert. Like Wally and Catbert were just incinerated and had their remains hurled into the icy void of space. I don't know, it bugs me. Remember Admiral Motti? He's the guy who was talking up the Death Star in this scene, saying, "This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it." And then Vader is like, "Don't be too proud of this technological tower you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet," this is just Bane, I'm just doing Bane, "is insignificant next to the power of the Force." Which is a bit like interrupting a shareholders meeting to say marketing did a great job, but the real hero here is Jesus. But anyway, Motti's reply is, "Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion has not helped you conjure up the stolen data tapes. Oh, giving you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels hidden for... I'm sorry, it went down the wrong hole. Bad moment for a sip, in retrospect. The point is, choking people is Vader's signature management technique. Mahdi seemed like kind of a dummy before Rogue One even came out, but now we also know that not only was this going on, but so is this. And there's also no way he thinks his devotion to the Force is sad when it gives you the ability to waste a hallway full of dudes in 28 seconds flat. Yeah, I timed it, what? It's possible that this is Mahdi's first day and he decided to make an impression as a tough guy by insulting the only guy in the room who's allowed to wear a cape to the meeting, but that just seems like a bad idea. We have not yet met a competent member of the Empire, so how come the rebellion doesn't just steamroll them? Well, I'm glad you asked that, straw man voice in my head, because boy oh shucks, have I got an answer for you. Now that we're near the end of my video, let me finally actually explain the plot of Rogue One. First, the rebellion recruits Jyn Erso to investigate the Death Star.
He's claiming the Emperor is creating a weapon with the power to destroy entire planets.
But when she brings back a report, they're split between not believing her.
A Death Star? This is nonsense.
What reason would my father have to lie? What benefit would it bring him?
To lure our forces into a final battle to destroy us once and for all.
Risk everything. Based on what? The testimony of a criminal.
And thinking they should just surrender.
If the Empire has this kind of power, what chance do we have?
What chance do we have?
There is no hope.
I say the rebellion is finished!
In the end, they compromise and say that they don't believe her, and they're going to surrender.
I'm sorry, Jyn. Without the full support of the Council, the odds are too great.
They prefer to surrender.
But why send her in the first place if you're not going to believe her, you might ask? Or maybe, that's stupid, but I'm not done. After that meeting, Jyn and her buddies defy the rebellion and go to steal the Death Star plans anyway. Then the rebellion finds out and launches an attack, which makes the Empire put up their shields, trapping our heroes on the planet to explode and die. So to recap, Jyn Erso and her buddies single-handedly saved the rebellion in exchange that got screwed over by bureaucracy and written out of history, so all the credit for their accomplishments was given to a smuggler, a farm boy, a princess, and a monkey, which is a pretty good name for a folk song. And now we've reached what this means. Disney and Gareth Edwards are trying to ruin Star Wars. Why? I don't know. To make room for more Marvel movies? To turn us all into communists? Probably that one. Whatever the case, we have to do whatever it takes to stop them. And by we, I mean you, because like, this is sort of embarrassing, but the door to this bunker only opens from the outside, and I'm not getting a cell reception down here, and I'm quickly running out of food, and I long ago ran out of fresh water. So if anybody wants to call the head of Cracked, or even just come by and, you know, never mind. Don't worry about it. I got this covered. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. No worries. Thanks for watching.
Well, hey there, buddy. Let's have it then. Lieutenant Keel, a message from Captain Lander.
Yeah, okay. This is what I expected.
What is it? Is the war over?
Yes, the transgalactic war ended, so she said, yeah, okay.
I know, I was here when it happened. So, what do we do now?
The war isn't over, but, well, the Cosmic Wizard Knight, who's been sort of the linchpin in our entire efforts against the Authority, has absconded with one of our ships to a remote planet for more training. It happens from time to time when you have Chosen One-style space warriors in senior command. His quest should wrap up when it needs to. In the meantime, we need to get this map to the General right away. I cannot stress enough the importance of this. If this map fell into the wrong hands, our entire efforts would be for nothing. The security of this drive is crucial for everything that we hold dear.
Yes, sir. See that the General gets this. And do not be followed.
So did nobody read my memo?
I can read.
I set up a crossnet. All consoles are now equipped with both inter and intra communications.
Why do we need some new tech for something we already have a system for?
Exactly a moment ago would be a good example. All of our most crucial maps we're just putting onto tangible things, then giving them to tangible other things that are vulnerable and slow. Now you can instantly share information and send messages across a network. It's similar to all communications that exist on, like, our comms. Now, instead of dropping mostly classified information into wobbly andros and sending them off to different planets, we just, don't need to do that.
So we'd send the map to the andro, and then the andro would tell the general.
You can send the map directly to the general yourself. Faster, easier, totally secure. Press of a button, you're done.
Well, thank you. How do we...
Probably in the memo.
I got a message from the general.
I did too.
Oh, I'm gonna send him the map.
Already did. He says thanks.
I'm gonna try sending something to everyone. Did it.
Got it.
Got it.
That is so fast.
This is immediately better. I am never going back to Andros.
My life mate is on here. I could message her.
Mom, it is me. I am talking to you instantly.
Do you think this sends pictures?
What do you do if you have no messages? How could one, join in on this fun we're all having?
Ayla can't owe you money. Ayla died. Heroically. Send.
Oh, another message from Benny.
What?
I got it too.
What?
Me too! A message! Success!
Oh no. Wait. Okay, hang on. All right. That wasn't meant for you.
Well, we all got it.
And so did... Hey, the general.
It wasn't meant for... This is crazy. This is new tech. This could have happened to any one of us. Any one of us.
Why does yours do that? Mine has this, razor sort of, edge to it.
Ayla! Whoa, you can't dismantle an incredibly useful piece of tech just because of one disgusting incident.
I'm not waking up one morning to an inbox full of Wampus's delicate sack.
There's nothing wrong with Andros.
I kind of like the waiting.
Hey, you? It's me. You love Star Wars, I love Star Wars. Let's talk about Star Wars, which is great. We all love it. And we're gonna get a new Star Wars every year for the every next year, forever. Some will be bad, some will be great, but in our intense culture of fanery and critiquery, you can rest assuredly we'll all be talking about Star Wars forever. So it. Welcome to the first episode of Crack's new regular series, Stuff About Star Wars. And today's stuff, 8 missed opportunities in The Force Awakens that would have made it so good, you guys. Let's dive right in. Lucasfilm, all right, long time ago, and yeah. Star Wars, Episode 7, The Force Awakens, exciting. Luke Skywalker has vanished. Great first sentence. The hero of our story is missing, and the goal of the film is to find him. And spoilers for this entire video, at the end we do. But, small tweak, little missed opportunity. Let Luke speak a sentence. The goal of this film is clear from the first sentence, and made even more clear by the end of the opening crawl. We need to find Luke Skywalker. Just like in A New Hope, we know the goal right off the bat, which in that case was to destroy the Death Star. And spoilers again, we did. We blew it up. The heroes returned, they hugged, they got their medals, we all celebrated. In other words, the goal is achieved, and then a few more things happen, resolving the story. It's called a denouement. Stories have them. So when we finally see Luke at the end, that's not the end. There's more. But they cut it off before he even says a word. It's a weird attempt at a cliffhanger because everyone is absolutely going to see the next movie anyway. They're going to see all of them forever, a couple of times. But also, it's not a cliffhanger, which is when your characters get into a precarious situation or are confronted with a shocking revelation. In this case, that revelation is Luke is where we thought he was. Or, shocker, Luke doesn't say a goddamn word. The first sentence of the film is Luke Skywalker is missing. The last sentence is Luke Skywalker appears, looks directly at us, and says, nothing. Word is that the next film, The Last Jedi, is going to open right where The Force Awakens left off. So they just cut out in the middle of a scene. It's not a cliffhanger, it's not a denouement, it's a cynical dick move that makes the story less complete and deprives us of hearing Luke Skywalker speak. We've been waiting to hear him speak for decades. Old Jedi Master Luke Skywalker, played by beloved voice actor Mark Hamill, speaks for the first time in decades, and he opens his mouth and nah. Never mind. you. Hearing Luke speak for the first time should have and could have been a really special goosebump-inducing moment for fans. But instead, the first time we hear his voice is in the trailer.
It's time for the Jedi to end.
For the next movie, a couple of years later. Real immersive stuff, Disney. I look forward to hearing out-of-context Luke Skywalker dialogue in the next trailer, too. It's like a missed opportunity. Anyway, let's continue the movie. We are, after all, not very far in. The opening crawl continues. There's a new empire and a rebellion named other stuff. Okay, sure, yeah. Leia sent a great pilot to get a map to Luke. All right. He gets it from, according to the opening crawl, an old ally. Cool. Brand new Star Wars. It's been years. How exciting to get a familiar character recontextualized in this new series. And it's...
This will begin to make things right.
Who the f is this guy? Lor San Tekka? That's not an old ally. That's some complete stranger who dies in 5 minutes. Why even bother calling him an old ally? I know it's hard to get old characters in, because most characters are dead. But it's probably not impossible. Mace Windu is dead with the rest of the Jedi. Okay, Mon Mothma and Akbar, they're alive, but they're with the Resistance, so it doesn't make much sense. Lobot seems pointless. And Lando is too beloved to kill right away. Also, probably a bad idea to have a bunch of troopers in white gun down a black man in the first few minutes of your fun movie about space. But of the saga so far, there is one character still alive, one who would be perfect for this. One so obvious, because this complete stranger should be Jar Jar Binks. The very first spoken line in the film is said by some asshole named Lor San Tekka, and he says, "This will begin to make things right." Many theorize that this is actually a wink to the audience. Basically, the Star Wars franchise saying, hey, sorry about the prequels, we're gonna do our best. This will start to make things right with you. And what better way than to take a universally despised character, recontextualize him in this new story, connect all the trilogies, and then have Kylo Ren slice that f***er up. Jar Jar has a deep connection to Anakin Skywalker and the Jedi, and the government, so his participating here would make sense. And seeing his old, grizzled face here would make for some great unshown scenes. His secret life fighting for the rebellion, helping Anakin's Jedi son, redeeming himself for all the Misas and the uses. And it wouldn't be CGI Jar Jar, it would be a costume, makeup, a mask, a real classic, a ridge-tridge, Star Wars-y version of Jar Jar, indicating right away that this isn't like the prequels. This isn't all green screen and CGI frogs. This is the real shit. This'a will begin to'sa make a things-a right. Again-a, says a withered old Jar Jar, right before he helps save the galaxy and then gets slashed up by the galaxy's new resident dickwad. Seems like a missed opportunity. And then we meet Poe. He's captured and the BB-8 runs off, and we see a stormtrooper, Finn, change his mind about being a stormtrooper. Now this raises some questions, since it's unclear why he snapped out of it. You know, Kylo Ren seemed to sense him with the Force, so maybe Finn has the Force, and that's what did it. But also later in the movie, he gives a speech about how he saw someone die, and that's what made him be like, nah, I'm not gonna be a part of this. But also General Hux says his stormtrooper program involves brainwashing them from birth. So what, we have a stormtrooper trained and brainwashed from the moment he was born, but he sees one dude die and he's like, nah? Also, so far the only stormtrooper we've seen is black, and literally every non-stormtrooper First Order member is white, so is the stormtrooper program entirely kidnap black people? That's f***ed up. Anyway, in terms of this list, I guess I can't really say make Finn make sense is a missed opportunity. It's more just like a thing that should have happened. So let's move on. We meet Rey, Finn and Poe escape, Star Wars, Finn and Poe crash, and Poe is presumed dead until the end of the film. Which brings me to Poe should be a clone. Poe disappears early on in the film, and the reason is that J.J. Abrams originally planned to kill him. J.J.'s always liked the idea of introducing a hero in a film or a TV show and then killing him early on to surprise the audience. He actually wanted to do this with Jack on Lost, but changed his mind. Oscar Isaacs, the actor who plays Poe, didn't love this idea, and eventually J.J. came back and said he had figured out how to keep Poe alive. And his brilliant idea was...
I got thrown from the crash. I woke up at night, no you, no ship, nothing.
Poe got thrown from the ship and got to safety somehow, and then left the planet somehow, and then rejoined the Resistance somehow. So it's not really an idea. I want to give JJ more credit than I figured out a way to make your character not die, and the idea is that he just sort of doesn't. So instead, make him a clone. We know clones exist. They're even mentioned in this film once, when Hux is defending a stormtrooper program of brainwashing babies to be soldiers unless one of them sees another one die at some point once. So why can't the Resistance use clones too? Poe is the perfect candidate for a clone. He's objectively the best pilot and shot in the galaxy. We are shown him making literally every shot he takes, and shown his unbelievable flying skill. He doesn't have much of a personality beyond nice and good pilot. He's sent on these dangerous missions because he's the best, and he can die. They'll just use another one. He even tells BB-8, this This will be safer with you than with me. Maybe because he knows that he might die. But don't worry, because even if he does, I'll come back for you. It'd be interesting to see Finn and Poe reunite at the end, only to see no recognition in Poe's face. Hey Poe, how'd you survive? Oh, I didn't, I died. Anyway, I'm gonna go pew 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 and stuff. Or at least it would have been more interesting than I got thrown clear. Hi, I'm fine. But anyway, Poe dies. Rey finds BB-8. She and Finn meet. They get in some scrapes. They escape those scrapes. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, pew pew pew. Finally, we see Han and Chewie again. And what's he been up to these past decades? Mostly negating his original arc and reverting back to a no-good swindler. But what if instead Han was Obi-Han? There's a scene in The Force Awakens in which Han tells our heroes about the Force. Kind of. The light, the dark, the Jedi.
It's true, all of it.
He says. He acknowledges he never believed in it himself, but eventually came around and it's real. This moment was played up in the trailer quite a bit, indicating a new Han Solo. But in the actual film, once he's done, he just goes back to Han the Swindler. It seems like a real missed opportunity, when obviously we have Han otherwise filling in the mentor role that Obi-Wan played in the original. But what if he really believed in the Force now? What if he was all about it? I mean, his wife had it, his brother-in-law had it, it saved the galaxy, his son has it, and it would make sense that he would learn about it and know about it and be able to explain it to these two noobs throughout the film. In The Force Awakens, Rey stumbles into her Force powers. She convinces a stormtrooper to unlock her and let her go, but she's never seen a Jedi mind trick before. How'd she know to do that? Wouldn't it be satisfying to have heard Han, a former Force denier, explain to her the amazing powers his family has? A grizzled war vet and a former smuggler woke to the ways of the Force, explaining with awe how with the Force you can manipulate people's minds. But instead, it's just the one scene and I don't know. Missed opportunity. Anyway, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, some cantina stuff, but a different cantina, getting some scrapes, but then BAM! A giant space station shoots some planets, and they explode, and I guess they're the Republic? We don't know who these people are. Who's that woman? Who's that furry guy? Why do I care? It's not even Coruscant, which we've seen in the prequels, which I think everyone kind of assumed this was. It's a new place apparently called the Hosnian system, made up of people we don't care about. Because why should we? We haven't been shown any of them. I guess my next point is, show Coruscant before you blow it up, and to make it Coruscant. Nobody cares about these planets. In A New Hope, something similar happens, in which a planet is blown up. We don't know this planet, we barely see it, but we care about it because at this point in the film, we care about Leia, and we know that it's her home. Her family is on that planet. She begs Tarkin, so we care when Alderaan is destroyed. But at this point in The Force Awakens, the Republic is barely mentioned, and even then only in relation to the Resistance. So in order for us to care about this at all, we need to feel connected to it. And we're certainly not connected to a vague government in a system we've never heard of. So, make it Coruscant. We've seen that planet so many times in the prequels, and it would be interesting to see what it looks like 60 years later. The Force Awakens does a good job of retreading a lot of A New Hope and ignoring a lot of the prequels, but just like utilizing Jar Jar, aspects of the prequels can be recontextualized and improved. Show us some of the Senate. Show us the abandoned Jedi Temple. Show us the place we know, so that when it blows up, it means something. This one shot of people who get blown up is an interesting tableau of potentially interesting characters. Give us some scenes with this woman, maybe helping the Resistance. Show us Senator Beardo, bearding it up! So when you blow them up, it means something. Put in the work so we care. It's actually a great opportunity to kill off heroes early on, just like JJ's always wanted to. Maybe a missed opportunity. Anyway, things happen. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, more scrapes, a big battle ensues, Finn grabs a lightsaber and has an epic fight against this f***ing dude. Why isn't this random ass Captain Phasma instead of some random ass? I get why the sequence is here. It's a little mini boss fight for Finn to sharpen his teeth. But like, it's just this stupid dick who shows up with a lightsaber but not, and they fight and he dies and who cares? The whole movie wants us to think that Phasma is cool. I mean, we love Gwendolyn Christie, and that chrome armor is dope. So why not make this battle matter, make us care about who he's fighting, by making it against a supposedly badass character with whom he's already had conflicts. Instead, she shows up an hour later to give up instantly and let her entire base be destroyed. Seems like an, I don't know, missed opportunity. But more fun Star Wars happens, some pew pew pews, Han and Leia reunite, we see the Resistance, we get a glimpse of R2-D2, and 3PO explains in the most expository way possible that he's been in a magical droid coma ever since Luke left. He contains the rest of the map to find Luke, and at the end of the film he wakes up and gives it to them. Hooray! He wakes up because magic? Because Han died? Because Rey is nearby now? Because Leia is sad? Because the base got blown up? It's super unclear and, you know, pretty dumb. It's a Deus Ex Astromech, and it feels forced. But instead, the final mission should be to rescue R2-D2. So Luke is missing, and we have this piece of the map, but also BB-8 has the location of the First Order's base, where Kylo Ren has been keeping R2-D2 prisoner. He knows R2 contains the map, but there's a force spell on it, making it impossible to retrieve. We see an image that implies this, and it would make Kylo's tantrums even more frequent, and his resentment of Luke even stronger. We'd get to see the Kylo-Luke relationship through his frustration with R2. And then the final mission, instead of being destroy a bigger Death Star, is to rescue a beloved character. The only character who's been in all of the films and who has saved the day more than many times. In order to save the galaxy, the Resistance has to rescue a beloved character in order to find another beloved character. Seems like a missed opportunity. Instead of R2 taking a nap in the corner and waking up at the exact right time, a rescue mission would have been fresh and exciting, and it wouldn't insinuate that the whole saga is just gonna be a bigger and bigger Death Star to blow up. Speaking of, save the Starkiller reveal to the end. Imagine the entire film, there was no indication of a super big Death Star. It was just a cool planet that contained the First Order base. The team needs to extract R2 and they plan their mission. They send frigates to bombard the surface, X-Wings and their super clone Poe to give cover, and a ground team to carry out the rescue. They rescue R2 and begin to escape. Han dies. Kylo and Rey and Finn have an epic lightsaber battle. And just as the battle ends, the ground starts to split, just like in the film. But then a burst of energy shoots into the sky. And holy shit, we think this planet has been a super weapon the entire time. Those characters on Coruscant are f***ing dead. The first film has concluded, and we now know of this terrible threat, this unbelievable super weapon for later films. That's a cliffhanger. Obviously a lot of this, would cause other plot issues, but those could be fixed with, thinking about it. And maybe some of this is already planned for the trilogy. Maybe they don't need to save the Starkiller reveal and set it up for the rest of the trilogy because they have plans for an even bigger, badder, super weapon that our characters get to blow up later. But I don't know. Talking about Star Wars is fun, right? We're gonna be doing it forever.
Hello, the internet, and welcome to another episode of The Spit Take. My name's Jack O'Brien. I'm the editor-in-chief of Crackdown. You've probably heard of a series of mostly independent films called Star Wars. If you haven't, just look up from your computer for a second in literally any direction. Those of you who aren't mythical figures I invented for this introduction know that The Force Awakens made all the money, but what you might not realize is this is just the latest outbreak of a global mass hysteria, and one that looked hilarious back when nobody knew what to do with it. During the 6 years the Ridge Tridge was being rolled out in theaters, children reacted to the movies and the merchandise they inspired with an appropriate childlike wonder and enthusiasm, while adults reacted like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction when she had her heart restarted with pure adrenaline.
Some game!
Star Wars, 22回見ました。40
times and it was great each time.
Altogether, we have seen Star Wars 324 times.
Great answer, scene from the original Shining that was cut for being way too creepy.
And so it was from the very beginning with Star Wars. It spawned more Star Wares than anyone could count.
Star Wares, I see what you did there, Mark Hamill, star of the movie, who, for some reason, is narrating this Ken Burns-themed porno by Dirk Diggler and Brock Landers.
R2-D2 and C-3PO were in the forefront of the honors bestowed on the picture. While they got to make their indelible impressions in the cement outside Hollywood's Chinese theater, the movie collected innumerable awards, including 6 coveted Oscars.
Aw, they're bragging about winning a People's Choice Award. That's adorable. Although, who's ever heard of these, quote, Grammy and Oscar awards?
It played such a large role in the lives of many who came to see it.
Wow Socko Smash, either that's a page from Malfunctioning Robot Digest, or they mocked that up for this documentary. What newspaper prints articles with the headline, Space Fantasy Film? Not everybody was as thrilled as Hamill, though. Sir Alec Guinness was a little lukewarm, or Luke Skywalker Star-warm, no pun intended, on the whole thing, calling it fairy tale rubbish. He also thought the director's name was Paul Lucas, apparently. Ringo Lucas, John Lennon Lucas, I don't care which Beatles name he has, he's a hack, said Sir Alec Guinness in a Brooklyn accent for no reason. On set, Guinness was quoted as saying, "New rubbish dialogue reaches me every other day, and none of it makes my character clear or even bearable." And Obi-Wan wasn't alone. Harrison Ford's contempt for the original movies was palpable. When asked if he knew how huge Star Wars was going to be based on the script, Ford responded with this.
It doesn't read as well as it looks. As it plays, yeah.
When Carrie Fisher was asked how Star Wars had changed her life, she said this:
I have much nicer furniture.
Must make you feel good. Yes, it's a lot of work.
That's the most actively I've ever seen someone not having anything nice to say and deciding to say just nothing at all. But Carrie, it must be nice being part of a global phenomenon that's touched so many lives. You're right, it was difficult, but I agree that my bed is nice. She was so high.
Research has shown that some birth defects can be prevented by proper prenatal care, and that includes good nutrition.
You know you don't have to keep everything you film. You can cut the part before he starts pretending like he's walking across the living room from growing pains. And if you think it was easy for Mark Hamill to get pregnant moms to stop smoking and drinking during the 70s, then you haven't seen these ads for cocaine. At least Hamill's human. Imagine taking lifestyle directives from this catty bitch.
Parents of Earth, childhood diseases can be prevented. Call your doctor or local health department. Immunize your children, please.
Once again, think about the audience they were shooting for with that ad. Adults who have kids, probably pretty solid in the whole who to take medical advice from department. But sure, let's give the US Department of Health the benefit of the doubt and assume they thought kids would watch that ad and nag their parents to take them to the doctor for shots. Here's one that seems to prove they were specifically trying to make children cry themselves to sleep.
R2, you're on fire! R2-D2, you found a cigarette. Oh, hello.
You knew we were here the whole time, C-3PO. And why are you guys hanging out behind a 1950s telephone switchboard? And also, what the f, R2? That thing you're smoking with doesn't even have an elbow joint. You don't even know how to do it. Smoking's supposed to look cool. We've previously discussed how George Lucas bartered part of his salary away for Star Wars merchandising rights. Unfortunately, that meant everybody else had to go off the beaten path to get that sweet Star Wars merchandise action. Yeah, every kid on the block will kill to get their hands on a brand new, technically not copyright infringing, The Force Beam. And don't forget about all of your favorites from Space Wars. They've got Darth Vader with his trademark spaghetti whip, Little Melty Bear doomed to spend eternity wondering what its purpose might be. And who could forget this one? Who will ever be able to forget that? But it wasn't just Nightmares that tried to cash in on Lucas's creation. Everyone got in on the fun. It's all the Star Wars characters we know and love. Leia, Luke, Chewie, Vader, a member of Cobra Kai. And just as our boys are about to chop each other up with their classic white The Force beams, Hot Pants C-3PO enters and saves the day with tuna. Or what I think is tuna. I can't understand this commercial because I don't speak Japanese and am not currently insane. And if you thought they were excited about their product's tenuous, tangential relationship to Star Wars, you haven't met my favorite person on the internet.
Have you seen Star Wars?
I sure have, excited guy who set up a soda store in his home office for some reason. Now, if I may, a question for you. Before we arrived, were you just staring at the wall Blair Witch style?
Remember that scene when Luke Skywalker lassos that thing?
I wouldn't call it lassoing or a thing, but yeah, I remember that.
And the princess kisses him and they swing off together?
Leia, you mean. What are you selling exactly? Is this a commercial for you just to kind of tell me the plot of Star Wars?
Oh, okay. The real reason I'm here is to tell you Magic Market's got Star Wars cups with all the stars' pictures on them.
Wait, who is this guy? More importantly, who's giving him instructions from off camera?
Oh boy, that tastes good. Oh, hey, yeah. Do you remember the fight with the laser swords when Darth Vader meets Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Wait, so you have the rights to say Darth Vader and you still said laser swords? So you just didn't see Star Wars, huh? From a kid's standpoint, underoos are straight up genius. Yes, maybe you're wearing stupid clothes that mom picked out to wear to the stupid school that the man says you're forced to attend, but underneath those stupid clothes, you're Superman or Wonder Woman or holy shit, Daisy Duke? Gross. From an advertising standpoint, underoos were problematic because how do you advertise clothes that are meant to touch a kid's butt without being creepy about it? Oh right, it was the 80s, exactly no one asked that question. To ordinary eyes, he looks like a normal boy riding a bike, but using his extra-human pedophile vision. Anyways, when somebody inevitably slapped Star Wars characters on kid butts, someone else was like, hey, why not have iconic characters from the movies playfully interact with semi-nude children in the commercials? And someone was like, Corey, you're a genius, we should have done this years ago. And Corey was quietly like, I have been doing this. And someone else was like, hey, what, Corey? But it was too late because Corey was already dressed as Boba Fett.
It's underoos.
Star Wars Boba Fett is here. That means Darth Vader's always near.
Also worth noting, this commercial has the most perfectly timed R2-D2 fart sound. You ready?
Just makes me smile.
Yeah. Hi. That bit's over. So we want to talk about Star Wars today because it's important to people's lives, right? So like I think Star Wars is great, and it's from childhood, and we all enjoy the presence of Star Wars in general. But it's also very, very dumb. Specifically, the names of all the things that go on in Star Wars.
Some pretty dumb names, yeah.
Pretty dumb names.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the obvious ones, like Darth Vader, Dark Father. Okay, very clever, George. But also, like, there's a documentary about the making of The Phantom Menace, and George Lucas is talking to his good friend Steven Spielberg, like showing him puppets and stuff. And he's talking about the Gungas. We know them as Gungans, which is also a dumb name. But like, clearly he, like, after that conversation, maybe even Steven Spielberg was like, buddy, you can't call him that.
Yeah. Everything in Star Wars has a name, including that little like rat thing. His name is Salacious B. Crumb.
Mm-hmm.
That's dumb. Luke has a clone at some point in one of the many Star Wars related things that happens. And they're like, well, what do we name him? Let's just name him Luke. He's got 2 U's in his name because he's a clone. He's not quite Luke. He's Luke.
There's the Death Sticks dealer. What's his name again?
His name is Elan Sleazebaggano.
There it is. I'll never remember that. That's
Right.
too dumb to remember. I remember Greedo, which is like very, very dumb.
Right, and Porkins.
And Porkins. Ooh.
Can't forget Porkins.
The fat character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
But Sleazebaggano, I think
that's
you're
not
just,
even.
That's just lazy, you know. It's lazy to go. It's like we need a character who's like mean. Let's call him Mino Grumpard or something.
Isn't there a Mino?
I think you're thinking of the fictional Star Wars show that we made called Adventures in Jedi School. It had a character named Meaners Badzo. That might be what you're thinking of.
That might be what I'm thinking of. What's a Yoda called? Like,
Oh yeah, what is the?
We don't know.
Yoda's?
Right, in the under gender male. Species. Yoda's species.
Yoda's species. The species to which Yoda belongs.
It's mysterious.
They were small and green skin. They all looked like Yoda, I guess.
There's the, you might know them as the Mos Eisley Cantina Band, when in reality their name is Figrin, Deanne, and the Modal Nodes.
Right, yeah.
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 Now when you say reality.
In the reality of ooh, wow. Oh no, I need to rethink my life. Type of music, and it's called jizz.
Okay.
That's funny because if you asked me, you know, the style of music they play in Star Wars, what would you call that? I would say, that's a dumb question. I don't need an answer to it. It's just the music they're playing in Star Wars.
Yeah. But the answer is jizz. This is just so bizarre and funny that like this exists, because any human being that is making this would go, oh, but George, I mean, you're calling it jizz, and you must know. This was actually introduced in the novelization of Return of the Jedi, and it wasn't even saying like, oh, this is jizz. It was referring to a musician as a jizz wailer.
Yes.
So if you're a jizz wailer, you
worse.
play jizz.
I kind of need to know like how that meeting went down, where it's like jazz, but it's Star Wars. We can't call it jazz because it's the future past, and they wouldn't say jazz in the past future.
Yeah.
So like names, let's make it sound kind of jazz.
Blaz.
Blaz isn't jazzy enough.
Praz.
No, not quite. It's
Jabs.
we're close. We're getting close.
Jobs.
Really close.
Jobs?
Jism.
There we go.
Yes.
That's the one. We're gonna do that one.
Okay, well, I was going to say come.
One of the jizz instruments is called a jizz box.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Mama's got a jizz box.
Also a Beal rock.
So jizz is based off of jazz, obviously.
Right.
There's the.
Okay, like scabba-boop.
Yeah. So jazz, the origin of that word actually is unclear also. Many people think that it is based off of the word jizz. And they're like, oh yeah, it's like sweet jazz.
Yeah.
And that's where that word came from.
Like rock and roll is sex, you know?
Yeah. So like maybe the author of the novelization of Return of the Jedi is really, really clever.
Right, because this is long ago in the future past, before they made the move from jizz to jazz.
And then in the future past, or the past future, you're gonna name your music off of jazz.
Right.
Which we invented based off of yours.
In the future, future,
present.
past,
Star Wars
future.
dumb?
Yeah, it is dumb.
So like Han Solo crash landed on Earth in the 20s and taught them jazz, and then also taught Marty McFly rock and roll so that he could go to 1955 to teach rock and roll to Chuck Berry.
But then he lost his memory. And that's how we got regarding Henry. Evil Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. These are space warriors and warlocks battling for the fate of their galaxy. But what if I told you that there was more to this? I know, but just bear with me. I think you'll come around to my way of thinking. After noticing a father-son theme in the new Star Wars film, The Force Awakens, I started to think maybe it was in the other films too. And after rewatching the original trilogy, I'm convinced of some heavy father-son themes. But there's something else about The Force Awakens that I noticed, and eagle-eyed viewers may have too, though I haven't seen anything on the blogs or anything. But watch it again, and in the background of one of the scenes, there's a clue hinting that Rey might not know who her parents are, and parentage might even be important. Now, this got me thinking. Luke didn't know his parents, so maybe there's something there. And after rewatching the original trilogy again, I'm convinced there's something there. Luke is parentless all the time, and even asks about his dad once.
How did my father die?
Here's Luke without a dad. Here he is again with no dad to speak of. We're constantly being shown that he is dadless. Or is he? Let's look at the very first time we ever see Darth Vader. He blasts through a door and walks down a hallway through a cloud of smoke. Now, what I think this scene represents is a father, Darth Vader, walking in on a daughter, the Leia character, when she's been smoking. He scolds her. She pouts. It's a highly clever and symbolic scene that links Leia and Vader. And if you've seen my other recent video, Leia and Luke are at least siblings, which I've linked in the comments, then you know where I'm going with this. If we accept that the Star Wars character, Princess Leia, is the daughter of the Darth Vader character in Star Wars, then that's right. Luke, being at least Leia's brother, would be the son. And here he is watching a bunch of smoke, which Darth Vader, who I think, if you think about it, represents being a dad kind of character. Like, in this pivotal scene, we hear him say, "When first I was a learner, now I am." He's saying, "I'm the master, I'm taking over the house." See, he's the dad now. I mean, take the very name, Darth Vader. Darth. What is that if the letters were corresponding numbers? Well, D is 4, A is 1, then R is 18, T is 20, and H is 8. A trilogy is 3, so let's take the last 3. 20 minus 18 is 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4's corresponding letter is D, so now we have D-A-D, which is a way to spell dad. Also, just in general, Darth is kind of like dad, sound-wise. And Vader sounds like the Vader part of invader, as in he invaded Luke's mother's womb with his spermatozoa and impregnated her. Also, Vader basically sounds like a guy who has a really deep voice, which I think a lot of dads probably do. I don't know, my dad's voice is pretty low, not like Vader low, but pretty low. Also, at one point, he says this: "I am your father." So here we have the word father, which is American English and English for the Dutch Vader, which is the character's name. So why would he say his name? I am Vader. Not a very interesting line 2/3 of the way through the trilogy, but he says I here, not me. I, as in the Roman numeral I, as in the number 1, as in number 1 dad. What he's saying here is number 1 dad is Vader. And if you watch the films, you'll notice Vader does all kinds of dad stuff, all kinds of times. Here he is waving at his son's friend, like a dad would do. Here he is protecting his daughter from bad boys, like a dad does. And let's go back to that one of him waving at the friend character. Waving with those black gloves? Where have I seen gloves before? That's right, on Luke, the only other character to wear gloves. And if you know anything about the extended universe, you'll know why that's important. George Lucas was clearly trying to tell us something. But what? Well, I think he's trying to tell us that Darth Vader from Star Wars is Luke Skywalker from Star Wars.
If you don't know the plot of Star Wars, this should help. That's pretty cool, and probably worth basing your entire personality and emotional stability around. But Hollywood's got some weird assumptions about masculine and feminine roles, and to be honest, maybe we all do. So let's swap Anakin and Padme's genders and see how that makes us feel. Because you're watching Gender Swap, I'm Allie, and this is the tragedy of Annie the girl. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there was a religious zealot soldier guarding a secret king whose ship craps out in the desert. To help them escape, the soldier rigs a space NASCAR event with the help of a female child slave.
Funny little slave.
To win some ship parts, which is crazy because nobody should trust a woman driver. To be fair, the soldier also wants to set the girl free because of her pure blood, as defined by his weird religion.
What are you doing?
Checking your blood.
No plan to save her mom, though, because she's old, and of what use is a woman over 30?
I tried to free your mother, Annie, but too old.
While the soldier prepares his scheme, the little girl, a 9-year-old named Annie, meets the 14-year-old male king named Patty, short for Paddington, and is smitten in that way that 5th graders are always getting smit over freshmen in high school. Eventually, these two will bang so hard the galaxy almost ends. But that's later, so it's fine. And also in space, much like in West Virginia, nobody can agree on specific age of consent laws anyway.
Too old.
But so, yeah, for the next decade or so, Annie is trained to become a magical warrior nun by a master magical warrior priest man who constantly admonishes her for being too emotional and hot-headed.
Come to your senses!
Just like a woman, am I right?
I don't sleep well anymore.
Because of your mother?
I don't know why I keep dreaming about her.
Dreams pass in time.
Eventually, Annie reunites with King Patty, who is pleased with Annie's physical development.
My goodness, you've grown.
And so King, now technically Senator Patty,
I'm a senator,
absconds with Annie to his home planet to marry her, after confessing he's been in love with her since this.
Now this is pod racing.
But hey, at least their wedding venue was pretty. The romantic sounds of a rich, older politician marrying a child slave turned zealot warrior. The sound of the Hamptons.
Annie, come on.
Weirdly, Annie's master, who also pulls shifts as her best friend and basically de facto parent, doesn't really seem to mind. Everyone knows what's going on with King Patty and Annie.
Yes.
Despite originally thinking Annie was
too old
to become a Jedi at the ripe old age of 9. Which, hey man, if 9's too old to become a Jedi, maybe don't make Jedis? Maybe it's because they're intending to pimp Annie out to Chancellor Palpatine's ancient ass in the hopes that he'll spill some state secrets. They won't even let her become Jedi Master, despite being the prophesized chosen one who will save all of existence. What, you trust a woman with the Force nuclear codes when she's on the rag? So, okay, to recap. Former child slave, stolen from her mom, taught a new religion that involves becoming a soldier, putting down a separatist movement, who was groomed and exploited by older men in power, constantly told to deny her emotions.
And now, this.
I love. So, her hysterical feelings about her mom dying were actually a prophetic warning, but Obi-Wan wouldn't let her follow up. The entire reason she wanted to become a Jedi was to free slaves, but the Jedis wouldn't let her. They wouldn't even let her go save her mom. With Anakin, that's sad. With Annie, well, for starters, this scene becomes extra f***ed up. I mean, nobody wants to see a man murder a room full of children, but if a woman does it... This part seems legit, though. Sorry. That was Miss Bill murdering a bunch of Japanese people for revenge despite the actual villain being this white guy. Totally different than Annie murdering a bunch of space Middle Easterners for revenge despite the actual villain being a whole mess of white guys. That's right, kids. With Annie instead of Anakin, her kinda racist genocide of the Tusken Raiders isn't some fall to the dark side. It's her first step to girl boss stardom.
Come on, Annie!
Because if Anakin was a girl, you wouldn't be going to Twitter to accuse Lucas of racism. You'd be going, yes, bitch, slay, because she, you know.
Yes, bitch.
Except Annie's righteous fury is exploited by Chancellor Palpatine, and his silky words cause her rampage to expand from weird-looking foreigners to the religious junta that tears away children from their homes. She fully intends to rip the entire galaxy a new asshole. But before she can wholly become chosen girl boss triumphant, the man who stopped her from saving her mother, who watched as a king and a chancellor groomed her, cuts her in half while saying that he loves her.
I loved you!
And you bet we care more about her body being destroyed when she's a woman. They don't even give her an epidural. The man who literally split her in twain apparently pulls her children out of her somehow. raises them in the cult Annie failed to stop, and trains them to murder their mother's killer.
What I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
When she tells one of them the truth, he almost heroes himself off a ledge.
That's impossible!
And eventually, all that gaslighting leads to this.
Hello there.
That's your fault.
You have done that yourself.
Annie then literally crawls back to the clearly abusive Palpatine and spends most of the next 3 movies trying to kill every remaining trace of that woman-hating, baby-stealing, body-having religious order. It even paints Lady Vader's relationship with Luke in a different light, as now it's a mother trying to connect with a son she never even knew she had, only for that son to reject her and basically kill her.
You were right about me.
Ultimately, this is a big difference between Star Wars and a true girl boss movie. In most of these girl boss movies, the indignity that these women suffer makes their revenge, I don't know, fun. You know, we want to see them win. But in Star Wars, Annie loses. Just everything. Cruella, Furiosa, Maleficent, you know, they all end up with a castle. But in Star Wars, a young slave is abused and manipulated literally her entire life for her mind, body, and power, only to fight back and end up half a body in a torture machine. And none of it matters.
No one's ever really gone.
The wizard school that tortured her reforms with her son as schoolmaster. The Senate comes back too, now run by her daughter. The abuser who she died to finally kill comes back to life somehow. Her grandson even starts dressing like her, like a creepier Norman Bates. And worst of all, slavery's still booming. You can be an obedient slave, you can be a useful soldier and spy, a generous lover, a terrifying villain, or the most powerful person in the galaxy. And no matter what, if you're a woman, you lose. Nobody wants to see that. And that's why Lucas made Anakin a dude. I mean, can you imagine the prequels being maybe poignant? No thank you. Good riddance. Good riddance, Annie.
I'm a person.
Also, what a Mary Sue, you know? She can pod race, she can build robots, she can fly well. We're supposed to believe a woman can lift rocks with her mind. Okay. Skepticism intensifies.
If we have extra time, can we go back and save my mom? Gross, no, she's like 30. Wow, Annie, you are way hotter now than you were as a 9-year-old.
Oh, Annie, my most trusted disciple. I would trust you with anything, except for sitting on those nice chairs there when you have your period. I don't understand how they work, but I understand they can be messy. So don't sit on my nice leather seats, they're horse leather. Backflip.
Oh, I'm a woman and I'm on fire!
You did this to yourself, bitch!
Oh, the new Hunger Games looks pretty intense.
Mockingjay Part 2? Yeah, I liked it better the first time when it was called...
The Hunger Games, Mockingjay, Part 1, question mark?
No. Return of the Jedi.
Interro bang?
The entire Hunger Games franchise is exactly like the entire Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, that's the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell, you know, nobody enters a gauntlet and emerges the most important person in the world, but who cares? That's all movies.
Not just that, I've got specifics. Both movies feature a totalitarian ruling class that demonstrates its power by making its citizens watch as their loved ones get killed. Hunger Games, the capital forces people to watch their children fight to the death every year. And in Star Wars, the Empire makes Leia watch as her entire home planet is blown up.
And both governments are headed by weirdly aggressive white things. You know, I mean, you have President Snow, a weird, creepy white guy named Snow, and then you've got the Emperor, you know, a pale, creepy, dead scrotum in a robe.
Sure, so that's the setting. Now let's get into the protagonists.
I'm pretty sure Pete has gotten that taken care of.
No.
Yeah.
No, ew,
Yeah.
gross. So in both cases we have young, fairly bland characters on the outskirts who have to leave their homes to get thrust into the middle of the action. Luke leaves his home planet after his only known family members die. And Katniss leaves her district, leaving behind her little sister and her mother, who is essentially a zombie at that point, so it's fine, you can leave her behind. They both leave and then get dropped in this crazy adventure.
This is just hero's journey, okay? I mean, the hero gets a mentor, you know. Luke gets Obi-Wan, Katniss gets Haymitch.
Right. Haymitch and Obi-Wan are both mentors slash surrogate father figures. They also weirdly both hold back important information from our heroes. Obi-Wan refuses to tell Luke that Vader is his father, and Haymitch refuses to clue in Katniss to the fact that he and she are part of this secret rebellion to take down the Capitol.
And in both cases, the information is revealed in the second movie. Oh, and in the second movie, who's Lando in Hunger Games?
There's not a perfect one-to-one parallel for Lando, but Cloud City as an idea is represented. So in Empire Strikes Back, we meet Lando and we go to Cloud City where we're not really sure who can be trusted and where allegiances lie. Similarly, in the second Hunger Games, Katniss is thrown together with Plutarch, the game maker, and Finnick and Joanna, and she's not really sure who's on her side and who might end up trying to kill her.
Yeah, both second movies were super disorienting in that way. Also super sad.
Yes, the second movie, the downer movie. How does Empire Strikes Back end?
The hero gets his shit fucked up. He gets his hand chopped off. His buddy gets captured, frozen, and everybody's sad.
Right, and how does the second Hunger Games movie end?
Our hero gets her shit fucked up. She gets electrocuted, her buddy gets captured and brainwashed, and oh no. Does that mean Peeta is Han?
Afraid so.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Really imperfect, half-baked love triangles in both movies too. You know, I mean, you've got Luke and Leia and Han, and then you've got Peeta and Katniss and Gale, and there's clearly somebody who just does not belong, you know?
Yeah, love triangles are stupid and hard and unrealistic.
But I still feel like we're heroes journeying here, okay? I mean, in the second act, second movie, the hero, heroine, is at their lowest, okay? I mean, and who's Yoda?
Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz is Yoda.
And that's not stupid? Okay, that is a nonsense sentence. That's a nonsense.
Luke and Katniss both have their obvious main mentors, but they also get these weird secondary mentors. Luke learns how to harness the power of the Force from Yoda via piggybacking and stuff. And Katniss learns how to challenge the government in surprising and subversive ways from Cinna via, like, dresses and stuff.
And both of their names end in A.
Seem weirdly proud of a very surface level observation, just a completely superficial, like a child.
And both of them die.
Yeah! Again, they both die, and it forces our heroes to make big decisions. I still don't want you to think that you're contributing to a theory when what you're actually doing is just
white people.
Yep, both franchises are full of mostly white people. Now, to the conclusion of my argument.
Our argument. Our argument.
The end of the Hunger Games franchise sees Katniss and her band of rebels taking the fight to the Capitol where it hurts them the most, in the Capitol itself. And the end of Star Wars, Luke and his rebels return to face the Empire in their home to face down that leadership. It could be argued that Star Wars was about Luke learning how to harness the power of the Force, and that Hunger Games was about Katniss learning how to harness the power of the people. And in the very end...
Spoilers.
Okay, so the end of Return of the Jedi, Luke destroys the Empire and loses a family member in the process, and at the end of Hunger Games, a similar thing happens.
Damn it. No. I meant spoilers for Star Wars, okay? I know how Hunger Games ends. You ruined the end of Star Wars for me.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry, but I'm actually not at all because of what year it is and how time functions.
Also, neither of the big bad ruling classes made any sense.
Yep, they're bad. That's why everyone was so mad. That's why Katniss revolted and the rebels rebelted.
No, I just mean there's no way that either of these ruling factions would have been able to take control. Okay, I mean, across the Hunger Games franchise, we're watching the 74th, 75th, and 76th Hunger Game competition.
You are, again, just reciting plot points in the order in which they happen, but not extrapolating any kind of meaningful...
Which means that this world hasn't been going on forever. Okay, I mean, 75 years is not that long. It means that there are people, living people, who remember when there was a time when the government was not making their children fight each other. They made a similar point in Rick and Morty on how there could never be a purge.
You know, when the purge started, did people get into it right away, or were they like, wait, what?
Okay, so I agree, they're bad. Everyone agrees they're bad. That's why Katniss was so angry and all those people did those things. Did you not read the books or see the movies?
No totalitarian regime has ever risen to power on the idea that they were evil. Okay, Nazis, fascists, gangs, cults, all in retrospect evil things that rise to power by promising that they are totally not evil and will in fact make things better. Making children battle to the death is a transparently evil idea that would never fly. I mean, Trump doesn't run on oppressing the middle class and foreigners. He runs on making America great again. So there's no way that the Capitol could have seized control if their entire political strategy revolves around, hey, let's watch our kids kill each other until they die.
Okay. That's true. You haven't really made any connection to Star Wars, though, in a while, which is what we were talking about.
There isn't a lot of child death in Star Wars, but the Empire is similarly impossible and ridiculous. I mean, they just declared themselves the Empire. Of course, nobody is going to follow them. Star Wars is a universe with royalty and senates and counts and lords. Like, the Ewoks govern themselves, and Jawas are a lawless species. Some planets participate in trade governed by the Galactic Empire, and some planets participate in slavery, and they have kings and or huts or whatever damn thing. But the Emperor says, I dissolved the Senate. I'm the Emperor now. I mean, most people would just say, okay, I don't really see how that affects me on the water planet where we acknowledge a giant fat fish monster thing as our king, but fine, if that makes you feel better, you can call yourself that. Just know that you're not. You're not the Emperor.
Hunger Games.
Both franchises pitch oppressive ruling forces that could never exist. And people like to say at the end of Return of the Jedi that there would be this like big power vacuum after the Empire was dissolved, but people would actually be just fine. You know, every planet has been doing their own thing anyway. And the Empire really is pretty harmless, you know, except for the whole planet exploder thing.
We do.
Huh?
You said people like to point out that at the end of Jedi there'd be a power vacuum when the Empire was gone. We point that out. Cracked does. We've made that observation and we've written that article and published it.
Oh, can't get them all right.
We mostly don't.
It's a lot of reaching.
Yeah. Hey, can you like enjoy movies when you watch them anymore?
You know, I can't.
Me neither.
I guess this is our life now.
This is our life now.
Thanks for watching, and if you want to watch more, please subscribe. Also, please comment below if you can think of any other movies that are just like Star Wars.
Yeah, and whichever of you has the best argument, it'll get voted to the top, and you'll be declared winner. And then the rest of you dummies will be summarily executed, as is in keeping in tone with the Hunger Games franchise.
It's the risk you take commenting.
So long, all you little fucking ruse.
Greetings and welcome to Earthling Cinema. I am your host, Garrix Wormuloid. This week's artifact is Star Wars, a documentary about life in our galaxy, just with all the names and dates screwed up. For instance, it should start a long time from now, and we don't have the Force, we have big eyebrows that link us to a shared consciousness. But other than that, pretty accurate. Star Wars tells the story of a whiny teenage humanoid named Luke.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Who just hangs around at home and doesn't have any friends. His family buys 2 of the least helpful appliances on the market, and before you know it, their house is destroyed. They run into Obi-Wan, Luke's nosy neighbor who won't shut up about how he knew Luke's father.
Your father's lightsaber.
Which Luke somehow didn't know, despite living next to this guy his entire life. Also, how does Luke not know what the Force is? The Jedi were basically running the galaxy like 20 years earlier. They hit the club together and meet Han Solo, an intergalactic party boy who either shot first or didn't shoot first. Who cares? Next, they go to an even bigger club and fight over a girl. Obi-Wan forgets his ID, so the bouncer kicks him out. No! And the rest of them get all worked up about it and come back to trash the place. Finally, they have a very long, oddly wordless ceremony where Luke and Han get medals, but Chewie doesn't. And neither do the other surviving pilots or anyone else who helped plan the attack. Tough break, losers. Story-wise, Star Wars has many influences, most notably Joseph Campbell's monomyth, or hero's journey, featuring steps like the call to adventure, crossing the threshold, and hitting on your sister. It also draws from previous films like Akira Kurosawa's Hidden Fortress, which uses 2 lowly characters to propel the story forward, and numerous westerns, such as The Searchers, in which a guy sees a thing on fire. The film also has religious and metaphysical overtones. The Force is something that requires faith, a human concept necessitated by crippling mental insufficiencies.
Hokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster.
The ethos of the Jedi is reminiscent of Earth's Taoism, which teaches that there is a force called the Tao behind everything in existence, from trees to toxic waste to seahorses to horses.
It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Lao Tzu wrote in the Tao Te Ching of an energy that gives people life yet claims no possession. It is the steward yet exercises no authority, kind of like me with my kids. Obi-Wan tells Luke to trust the Force instead of technology, since when have old people ever trusted technology? In contrast, the Empire puts all their faith in the Death Star and rallies behind a guy who is more machine than man. This cold reliance on technology leads to chaos and destruction, whereas living in harmony with the natural world leads Luke to victory and a more heartwarming kind of destruction. The Empire can trace its roots back to Earth's most successful ideology, fascism. The Imperial generals wear clothing that resembled Bavarian chevalgers, which were all the rage in the spring of 1915. Many communist and fascist regimes used black and red as their colors, most notably the Third Reich and the Miami Heat. Also, stormtroopers is what German dictator Adolf Hitler called his personal bodyguards during World War Z. And spoiler alert, Vater means father in German. Visually, Star Wars is a pioneer, combining influences like Metropolis and 2001 to create a rich tapestry sewn together with state-of-the-art special effects. It also makes great use of color, often using it to express duality, because what else are you going to use it for? As if mirroring the film's moral structure, Vader and the Empire's upper echelon members all wear black, whereas Luke and Leia wear white. Han wears black and white together because he's a bit of a bad boy. The stormtroopers have a white outer shell, but underneath you can see the black, suggesting the facade of benevolence that hides the Empire's more sinister motives. The film's legacy is monumental. It marked the end of 1970s cinema, which was more focused on pointless frivolities like substance, nuance, experimentation, theme, irony, etc. After Star Wars, the movie industry shifted its focus towards special effects, explosions, action, and butts. It went from complex conflict to stories that had a very clear and elementary distinction between good and evil. The difference is that good people are super serious, and evil people laugh all the time. Furthermore, Star Wars ushered in a new era of monetization, with sequels, merchandising, clothes, toys, spin-off novels, comic books, and video games, all of which directly led to the extinction of the human race. The moral of the story is, if at first you don't succeed, just keep at it. The first 3 Star Wars movies were a pile of hot garbage, but by the 4th movie, the series finally hit its stride. And the one that came out last week wasn't bad either. For Earthling Cinema, I'm Garrick's Wormuloid. If you'd like to see a special episode on The Empire Strikes Back, follow me over to Wisecrack by clicking here. May the 4th be with you.
See where I went wrong? It's 1 letter away from Jedi.
Judo is not 1 letter away from Jedi.
I'd argue with you, but that guy kicks my brain, now it's resting.
Okay, that guy was 13, and how many of those classes did you sign up for?
I didn't sign up, I just showed up in my Jedi costume.
It's not a costume, it's a gi.
Then why were they all dressed like Obi-Wan, minus the cape, which was brown, awful color. Pass the peas.
Right there.
Anyway, didn't do it for exercise. I did it because, I think I'd make a pretty good Jedi.
Oh, probably the concussion talking, but at least you're aiming high. Jedi are the best heroes.
No, Jedi are idiots. I am aiming correctly for my station in life.
Oh, no.
Jedi suck.
No. We are not doing this tonight.
Yeah. And if those yutzes can learn Force powers, I'm probably like 3 pajama fights away from being a Jedi who are
No! Okay, the Star Wars movies are racist, they are sexist, they are robot slaveryist, but I have got to keep liking Princess Leia. And, the guy Jedi's, I guess.
You ever notice how the Jedi can't seem to stick to one job?
Eastern? He's more machine than Dan now.
It's kind of the same thing.
They're spread super thin. They're knights, they're monks, they're diplomats, they're teachers, they're detectives, they're secret agents.
Pod race betters, fish monster wranglers, whatever the hell Ben ended up being for all those years after the prequels. Coot? Codger?
The Jedi did pick a job. It's saving the galaxy.
With which skill set? Obi and Qui are jacks of all trades, but Jedi masters of none. I mean, look at the way they do detective stuff. Their investigative strategy usually revolves around let's just try and get captured. They don't know how to travel incognito or not blow their own cover. And if they do manage to apprehend a suspect, they disarm them literally.
Well, they probably don't learn all that cop stuff in Jedi school. I mean, they start training the Jedi when they're baby age, ideally. I mean, that's a lot of stuff for a magic baby to take in.
Why are we even training them as toddlers? It clearly doesn't work. Anakin and Luke are, objectively, the 2 most powerful Jedi of all all time, and they both started when they were technically too old to train. Luke, hell, he was a teenager when he started, but after a few Yoda meals and X-Wing deadlifts, he was able to take down 2 Sith Lords himself, and Anakin killed a shitload of more trained Jedi.
Come on, the prequel Jedi just got sucker punched by a phantom by a hidden evil. That doesn't mean that the Jedi aren't hero geniuses doing everything that they can.
They're doing every random thing they can. Think about Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, I try, but I only ever see Brian Mills.
In episode 1, Qui-Gon was sent to settle a trade dispute. That was his mission. But instead, he ends up sneaking a fish monster into a palace, cheating on some pod races, stealing a kid because he's got high Thetan levels, and then leaving that kid's mom to die a slave. The Jedi Council's like, hey, would you go check on this trade negotiation, make sure everything's going smoothly? And he comes back like, surprise, I brought a kid you all hate. He's mine now, I'm gonna keep him. Also, as far as that trade stuff goes,
Because bad movies have dumb stuff in them, hence bad movies. But in the good Star Wars...
No, yeah, in A New Hope, Obi-Wan leads Luke straight into a trash compactor after years of not teaching the kid anything. And Luke spends most of his time getting swallowed by random monsters.
And in the prequels and pre-sequels, Jedi constantly let their enemies escape from and sometimes even win fights.
Because they don't use guns.
Because they became Jedi to play with swords.
Well, they found a nerd rhythm.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
My lightsaber hilt would have one of those wrist things on it, you know, so it wouldn't fall off from your wrist.
Like what some GoPros have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That way I wouldn't, you know, even if I would be like, no,
it's right here.
Lanyard.
The lightsaber does not maketh the man, it is the sensitivity to the Force. I mean, the Force makes the Jedi telekinetic, mind readers, and really friendly ghosts.
Friendly, lazy ghosts. The Force ghosts show up like twice a movie, and they're clearly not interested in being helpful.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
A certain point of view? The f***ing galaxy's on the line, Riddler.
And Force ghosts are clearly up to dick all. Otherwise, why would 3 of them RSVP yes to an Ewok party?
Well, it's a ghost job. There probably aren't enough Jedi for eternity shifts.
But there would be if the Jedi would just nut up and do nut stuff.
It's a family movie. The sex happens off screen and on the internet.
No, it doesn't. Not for Jedi.
Why? What happened to the internet?
One step back for Soren. The Jedi Code proper says Jedi aren't allowed to have sex.
But the Jedi are powerful. Now, I refuse to live in a world where powerful people are discouraged from having sex with each other.
Well, good thing we don't live in that world then. In this case, and only this case.
Because of some vague rules, the Jedi are all busy putting training into each other when they should be putting Padawans into each other. Midichlorians don't have to actually matter. Because in the original trilogy, already showed that Force powers are congenital. There's a whole galaxy of beings out there. Yeah, so why aren't there like a ton of Jedi? And how come every alien race can only produce like 1 master tops?
Action figures, special edition. No aquarium can hold a candle to Yariel.
It has to mean that the actual odds of producing a Jedi baby are very tiny. Yet, the one time a Jedi does get down and dirty and rough as sand, he goofs out a kid who's
a Jedi, like my father before me.
And his twin sister, the forciest girl in the Star Wars universe.
My sister has it.
Anakin's balls go 2 for 2. So just imagine how many younglings a Council of Force Boning could pump out if they would just take one for the galaxy and take one.
Okay, if the Jedi really suck, how about we imagine what it would be like without them, huh? Imagine a Lucas universe where they had to build an entire society without using Force powers, and I think that you realize...
We don't even have to imagine it.
Okay, but like, could you maybe just like try, because like imagination is fun?
The Empire is a society with no Jedi backbone, except for 2 busted up old Sith, and it works.
Don't try to frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader.
That's why the British Nazis think the Jedi are a joke, and you know, they make a good point. Darth Vader's ancient religion doesn't help them find the Death Star plans or the rebels, even though he's got ample terror time with Princess Leia.
Whom he never realizes has Force powers or is his only daughter. I mean, what other secrets were in her brain to learn? Average stormtrooper heights?
Too little short for a stormtrooper.
Huh? Plus, the Sith let both Death Stars blow up. The first time because Vader fails to shoot people from behind, and the second time when their shields are down and they're losing the Star War. But those nerf herders,
Scruffy nerf herders.
Scruffy nerf herders are off mind gaming Luke and wasting time.
Plus, in the prequels, there's slavery on Tatooine with Anakin and his mother, at least. And then, at some point between the end of the prequels and the start of the Orig Trig, it looks like the Empire has abolished slavery on Tatooine. Empire makes shit work.
And it seems like the Empire's only real mandates are no slavery and no more Jedi, because they can't not f everything up. And look how many jobs were created under the Empire's reign.
And let's not forget that the Empire is so great and functional that Luke initially wants to work for them.
I want to transmit my application to the Academy this year.
The only downfall of the entire Empire is the hubris of the 2 Sith that work for it. And Sith are basically just rebellious Jedi.
The Sith and the Jedi are idiots. They're just 2 sides of the same force-balancing, dumbass coin.
Well, that does fulfill the prophecy in the most technical, riddles are garbage way possible.
And stories are the riddles that bring us together.
Oh, I thought that was sweet, kind of poetic.
Now, riddles? They lead to thought puzzles.
I mean, maybe.
And thought puzzles lead to math. And math to the dark side leads.
Hospital? Hospital.
Hospital.
Beetlejuice!
Okay. Hot take. Sure. Star Wars. So, Han Solo from Star Wars is actually the worst smuggler in the galaxy, right? Yeah. So, okay, yeah. So, in Force Awakens, Han is like floating around with Chewie, smuggling giant monsters called Rathtars, and they get boarded by 2 different criminal organizations. He owes each of them money. In fact,
Have I ever not delivered for you before?
yeah. He has a history of owing them money. Why is anybody hiring Han Solo for anything ever? He's always messing up jobs and not delivering, and he's one of the good guys. Hey, criminals, don't trust the general with the heart of gold to do crimes for you. He's the guy who blew up a crime lord's party boat and might frack off to smooch a princess or save a rebellion at any parsec. He'll dump your cargo or he'll lose your cargo, and I would argue that he owes every crime boss everywhere a whole lot of money that he won't pay back because he doesn't have it or he doesn't remember. Either way, stop hiring Han Solo, he's bad. Oh, we've never even really seen him be a smuggler. In A New Hope, he's barely looking for smuggling work. He hears from Chewie that Obi and Luke need passage to Alderaan, and he's like, hey, I'm Han Solo. He's all cool about it. This is a rough bar, And he's like, yeah, I can give you a ride. He offers them a ride. He brags about his fast ship, says he can get them there, and that's the plan. He's gonna be their space bus. But then Obi makes it clear he doesn't want any Imperial entanglements when he says that, and that's when Han's like, whoa, hey now, you want me to hide you? That's gonna cost you extra. No, Han, that's smuggling. If you're just giving nice people lifts, why are you hanging out at the bar of hideous criminals? I mean, it's a great job. Basically, Han just flies around in a house in space playing monster chess with his intelligent tree bear best friend. But from what we've been shown, he's barely a smuggler and all he's really got is a fast ship. If you're smuggling something, do you want it there fast or do you want it there at all? Stop hiring Han Solo. You want to get paid? Stop hiring Han Solo. He's a bad smuggler. Great good guy though. Okay, Dad. So yeah, here's your hot take, all right? Just add some clips, title it Han Solo sucks, parentheses, he's the f***ing worst, colon, you suck too, you dumb piece of shit, click on this, I don't know. Or like, Han Solo was terrible at his job, do whatever you want. Okay? You have your hot take. You got what you came here for. Just leave me alone. Please.
Boba Fett is a terrible bounty hunter.
Boba Fett? Boba Fett?
He's awful at bounty hunting, at hunting bounties. What does he ever accomplish?
I don't know, maybe he caught Han Solo, who's really hard to catch, and is also a badass, so a guy who catches a badass is a badass in his own right. Maybe that.
But he didn't catch anyone. He called up his buddy, Vader. Are they buddies?
Like buddies, or like buddies?
Either or.
Neither. Nor.
Whatever. All he does is follow the Will.I.am Talcum.
Millennium Falcon.
Millennium whatever. The space bird. He follows Indiana Jones's space bird to Skytown.
Cloud City.
Then he calls in his not buddy, Vader, to catch him for him. Han doesn't give a space shit that Boba Fett is there. He takes a shot at Vader, who's the actual important threat. which of course Vader deflects, magics the gun into his hand, and catches him. Boba by the foot isn't a bounty hunter. He's a tracking device.
He's a badass. Vader was all like, no disintegration.
No disintegration.
Because he's a badass. He was afraid of Boba Fett's raw disintegratory power.
No! Vader was like, no disintegration.
No disintegration.
Because he's bad at his job. He's sloppy. He's a loose cannon. He resorts to disintegrations. That's not being good at your job. That's being so terrible at your job that you immediately jump to the last resort.
In the extended universe.
Sorry, but, and I say this with nothing but love, the extended universe. I'm talking about the movies, man. These 3 movies that everyone loves so goddamn much. And the facts are, Monsieur Lafitte can't catch anyone without phoning the second most powerful dude in the universe. He can't kill anyone without vaporizing them on an atomic level. And in Jedi, he just hangs out at Jabba's palace for years. To do what? Guard frozen Han in case he unfreezes?
You hit me, you hit my face.
And he doesn't even do that well. At the end of Jedi, when Han does unfreeze and they're out on the floaty sand boats, Boba Fett is right next to him. And instead of shooting him, he just aims his fist at something hundreds of yards away. Then he gets hit on the jetpack like a loser and lands in the one spot for miles that's a sentient death pit instead of just sand. Boba Fett, terrible at everything.
What happened to you? Why? Who hurt you?
Whatever. I still liked it, I'm just saying.
Oh, good.
Although, best part, when they meet the tiny, what's it?
No.
The little bears.
No!
What are they?
Ewoks.
Ewoks! Yes! Best part.
Nope.
Hi, I'm Crack.com editor-in-chief Jack O'Brien, and if you do not subscribe to our YouTube channel, I'm gonna fire that young man.
No, you take that hat off. You don't deserve to wear that hat, Daniel. What did I say? Out of the shot.
So subscribe.
The logistics of warp speed.
Nope.
The tactical stupidity of putting your base on a monster-filled ice planet.
Lando Calrissian as an ideal version of Machiavelli's prince.
No to both.
Okay, something about Star Wars.
Jawas as a metaphor for the Armenian genocide. Somehow.
No. That's a good idea.
No, it's not.
If it's possible to have sex with someone across the room using only the Force.
Sub-question, is that technically cheating if you're in a relationship when it happens?
No.
Okay, so what specifically?
Michael wants to talk about Star Wars, but he's making us guess the exact aspect. How improbable it is that Imperial crew members have British accents.
Nay. Something about how Chewie can fly a ship like a man but doesn't have to wear pants like an animal. That was a no.
That was a no.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. My wiener is...
women.
Nailed it. Okay, Soren and Dan, when you were kids, were there Star Wars characters that you wanted to grow up to be? Role models?
Han Solo drives an awesome spaceship, gets the girl, badass space cowboy for hire.
Yeah, but Han's off the table.
Okay, Luke. He grew up on a farm in poverty, but through training and discipline, he learned to be one of the most powerful men in the universe. It's the American dream.
Tatooinean dream, but Luke's out too.
Yoda, he's wise and badass despite an unfortunate baldness.
Obi-Wan, he's an immortal Jedi Knight.
Akbar, he's wily.
Boba Fett.
Now, Katie, what Star Wars character did you want to grow up to be?
Leia.
And Leia's off the table. You can't think of anybody because literally every other female character is a dancing space alien.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm. In Star Wars, a boy can grow up to be a knight or a wizard, but if you're a girl, you have one good role model, one good, sexy role model. But you better be born a princess or good at space hooking, because those are your options. Or you could be Luke's Aunt Beru, but what did she ever do? And if you say she murdered the Emperor's son or brought Jesus to the Jawas or any other frickin' thing that starts with in the extended universe.
Okay, let's name all of the women in the Holy Trilogy. Daniel?
Leia, Beru, Jabba's bluish slave girl, the formerly animatronic, currently CG Max Rebo singer, and woman who gives the rebels their instructions in Return of the Jedi, whatever her name is.
The majority of those being strippers, that's like 3.5 women across 3 movies.
I watched 3.5 women strip. Still better than just one black guy in the entire universe.
What about Vader's voice?
Touche. 1.5.
I'd watch 1.5 black men strip.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry, are we just gonna pretend like Dan doesn't know the name of the other character?
The point being, Lucas.
He's sexist. His ideal government would be a phallocracy.
Phallocracy? Is that what France has?
Phallocracy. It's a government that's run exclusively by men.
So, George Lucas's ideal future, you've got all these species and races living harmoniously. Jawas, Ewoks, fish monsters, people, all working together, but almost no women. Does George Lucas want to get rid of women?
Well, he might not want to get rid of them, but he certainly does have some profound issues with women.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
You put up Leia as a good role model, but even she is a terrible role model.
Oh, whoa. Leia kind of kicks a lot of ass.
Yeah, she's all feisty and gold boobs.
True, but let's talk about Jedi for a second.
She saves Han in Jedi.
In the middle of a rebellion she is leading because, oh, that's right, 2 movies ago, the Empire blew up her home planet.
How does that not command your respect and or arousal?
Thwarting the Empire, crushing evil, avenging her home planet, all of this took a back seat so she could waste time on this impossibly convoluted plot to break Han out of Jabba's. Ooh, it sucks that my home planet got destroyed, but I'm over that now. I'm nothing without my man.
That's a good Leia.
What if George Washington had abandoned his troops to go on a side mission to rescue Martha during the Revolutionary War?
Did that happen? You're the only one that would know.
Wait, wasn't that what The Patriot was about?
Yes, she goes to rescue her boyfriend, but he's part of the rebellion. She's not turning against her gender.
No? Remember, Leia wasn't the only slave girl at Jabba's.
That's true. There were 2 or 3 more.
90% of Lucas's female cast.
And what does Leia do after she gets Han out?
Blows up the palace! Oh!
And everyone in it, including Jabba, and yes, all of those poor slave girls.
She invaded a kingdom, stole his property, and destroyed Jabba. She's a terrorist.
Was Jabba a king?
Hut. He's a hut. Is Hut not a... Do we not have huts in
I
society?
think he was just a crime boss, like the slime godfather.
Greedo Corleone.
He's right.
What?
That wasn't a point.
No, Daniel. Leia abandons her people to stand behind her man, a lying, rude, rightfully imprisoned thief.
Vintage Han.
And once he's safe, it's all eat shit, slave girls. You get to die chained to the corpse of a big slug and salacious crumb.
And she is Lucas's only non-stripping female character. Abandons her people, gets kidnapped, and needs to be rescued by a bunch of men like a cliche damsel in distress. Great role model, Lucas. You know, it might not actually hold up. Mon Mothma wasn't a stripper.
I knew you knew her name.
We all knew he knew her name.
Why would...
Hey, Maggie! Hey! Hoodie buddy!
Hey, what's up?
You're a big Star Wars fan.
Mhm.
You've got a show that you do for us called Better Way to Watch.
Yes.
One of those episodes is about how if you watch the prequels and you think that Padme and Obi-Wan are having an affair, it's way better.
It is.
I'm always interested in those kinds of things, especially for Star Wars. As much as I love it,
He loves it.
it is more silly than great.
Yes.
So we have a new theory that we've addressed on the site. I wanted to pitch to you.
All right.
Basically, the idea is that the entire series is R2-D2 telling the story of Star Wars.
Okay.
So imagine a scenario where the war is over, the rebels have won, Death Star's been destroyed, all these factions are sort of like spread around, and like word is spreading that, oh, the Empire's dead, and like the Emperor's dead, like what do we do? So the rebellion brings R2-D2, who's there for the whole thing,
right?
And say like,
and this is his.
What happened?
Every
all of them,
all films. Okay.
I mean, Force Awakens probably not, but all 6 of them at least.
Okay.
Basically, the idea being that like all of the inconsistencies that we see, all the weird things are explained by the fact that this is R2-D2 telling the story.
Wow.
So first of all,
Yes.
R2-D2 is
A robot?
A robot.
Mhm.
Astromech droids, is the kind of droid that he is, are built to be creative.
Right.
So he
has a personality.
Right, he has a personality, and we've already seen 3PO tell stories in Return of the Jedi.
Tuppy. Yes, R2, I was just coming to that.
There are things that R2-D2 does throughout both trilogies that are unbelievable. He's everywhere all the time. He's always at the exact hero moment. He's just there.
That's true. I actually never have thought about that.
He's
before.
always just hanging out.
He's right there. Yeah.
And he's got like jets and like these ink things, and like he does these heroic things that are like, R2, you can't do that. That's not like. So he's building himself up a lot.
Right. He
Within
does
these
seem
stories.
to be the smartest in so many situations.
Right.
Where it's like, I don't know if you would be.
Right. He knows the deal. He's gonna open the door. He's gonna be the savior in all these scenarios.
Right.
So already, it's a little suspect.
With all we've been through, this little R2 unit has become a bit eccentric.
You'll notice in the prequels, he really puts a lot of the characters from the original trilogy into those.
Yes.
And they're all characters that he was very close with. Like he had that like weird relationship with Yoda. Chewbacca is there. It's like, yeah, my buddy Chewbacca, he's there too.
Right.
Han is not there. Lando's not there. And that whole world of like pirates aren't there.
So this is his view of the world.
Right. And he's not even thinking about Han because he like had one interaction with him once. He threw Luke a lightsaber to save Han, and that's it.
So it's like a guy at a bar being like, oh yeah, my friend was there, and you were there, and we were there, and we were all there.
And then like Yoda showed up, and he was there, and he said bye, and that was really cool for no reason.
Miss you, I will.
Like any inconsistency you see in those movies, I think can be chalked up to like, oh, well, he wasn't there. He's sort of filling in the spaces.
So like what specifically?
George Lucas, let's just say, doesn't really understand human emotion that much. He's not great at that. Or
I mean,
like
look
love
at Padme.
stories. Look at Padme. Right, and things like that where like you have these love stories and like the thing about the sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
I like sand. And
That's like a robot saying, what does a love story look like?
Right.
Oh, that.
Oh, well, I'll have them say this, and then they'll say I love you, and that is how love works.
Right.
So like he's sort like every like bad thing that doesn't understand how humans work is because a robot is telling it.
That makes so much sense. And in real life, perhaps maybe the robot is George Lucas. But
Right, I mean
within the
he's
story,
clearly a bit of a robot.
Everything soft and smooth.
Padme dies in the prequels, and someone says that she died of a broken heart,
Right.
and that's not a thing.
No.
And if it is, in a universe with like talking robots and magic, you probably can't die from a broken heart. And so you can imagine like, oh, R2 was like around and like it was very chaotic, and then someone said like, oh, she's a broken heart, and then she's dead, and he's like, she died of a broken heart.
Right. Oh, if it's broken,
Right.
oh, no wonder she died.
No wonder she died. Let's say you're like a huge Star Wars fan and you love like
Right.
the mystical, like the Force is really cool to you.
Midichlorians?
There we go.
What are midichlorians?
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
We didn't need to know these things.
Please not.
One of the beautiful things about Star Wars and the Force is like you didn't know, it didn't matter, it's magic, it's a mystical force.
Yeah.
Let's move on from there. And then you have Phantom Menace that's like explain, no, well, you actually have these little magic bugs that live in your blood, and they communicate with the Force.
Without the midichlorians, life could not exist, and we would have no knowledge of the Force.
Okay, then what is the Force? Like you haven't explained it. You've just
Right.
added an extra step to it being mystical. That's just another robot's explanation. Like there's this mystical force in the universe, and like a robot doesn't understand those things.
Right.
So it needs to have an explanation, and that explanation is, oh well, there's like bacteria.
Robots need like receptors for energy, so it's like, oh, they must take
Right,
in
right,
the
right.
force and use it to power themselves.
Exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a great R2D2.
Thanks.
So R2D2 is telling this whole story.
Right.
And he's got this best friend C-3PO, but C-3PO is a real dick to him.
I've just about had enough of you. Go that way.
Right.
Like literally kicking him.
Not even like a fun killjoy.
So I feel like part of that is being embellished by R2. And so he's playing that up. But also, if you look at the prequels, 3PO has a terrible time the entire time.
Yeah.
He's like built by an evil man.
Yeah.
But also like there's that whole sequence where like he's in the robot factory and he's being torn apart and like put back together.
I forgot about that
and like
scene.
dragged across this huge arena. But like it seems like that whole prequel trilogy is just like, man, f that guy. I'm gonna embarrass him.
Did I do to deserve this?
That's
Like-
the only explanation for those scenes, because I forgot they even
'Cause
happened.
why are they
so
there?
Bad. My neck.
And he's the only one there. It's just 3PO and then R2,
Right.
and like they leave and like, oh, everything's fine, we survived. But then R2's like, oh man, 3PO really embarrassed himself in there.
Yeah.
What an idiot. if you watch any of the movies and you're like, that doesn't make any sense, I feel like you can just say like, R2.
Filter it. Filter
Filter
it through a droid.
Yeah, filter it through a droid,
Yeah.
telling a story at the very end and trying to make himself look like a hero and his friend look like a dick. But all of his friends were there.
Right.
You know?
It's kind of like, you know, he was built to fix our machines in the world. Maybe he was built to fix this story.
Maybe he was built to fix the story. Someone's got to.
Well, pretty good. Pretty good. I really liked the pew 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 stuff. Ending was kind of dumb. But...
Dumb? You grew up as a human on Earth without seeing Star Wars until just now. You're the dummy, you big dumb dummy.
Okay, the two guys get medals, right? But their giant bipedal dog friend doesn't. That's BS. And then they just sort of turn around and take a space family portrait with the mean princess and their dandy droid buddies. So yeah, space ceremony's kind of dumb, it turns out.
Second one's better anyway.
Oh, why does that one not end with a freaky family space portrait?
No. Well, I mean, yeah, kind of, but it's from behind, and the mean space princess is nicer, but just like a little meaner at other times.
Half-witted, scruffy-looking nerd.
The bipedal dog friend is called a Wookiee. So, anyway, it's good.
Fine, I'll watch the second thing. Do the heroes actually get to save the day in that one?
They saved the day in the first one. Oh, was Luke blowing up the Death Star thanks to Han showing up and blowing up TIE fighters and distracting Vader, not saving the day enough for you?
Han doesn't do shit, dude. Except shoot Greedo after Greedo shoots him.
You take both of those things back right now! The first one, then the other. Separately.
The real hero who really saved the day was the Imperial jet fighter.
TIE fighter,
whatever. He's the one who got rid of Vader. Han showed up, and instead of shooting at Vader's ship, he shoots at one of the little random ships on either side. That's the one shot he takes. Instead of shooting at the bigger, blacker, obviously boss ship.
Yeah, and it worked. Okay, Vader careened off, and the day was saved.
Yeah, because the other pilots sucked at piloting. Han shows up and takes a shot.
Yeah, and Vader's all like, what?
What? Then the stupid pilot yells, look out! Look out! And then he just careens to the side for no reason other than that he sucks at piloting, slams into Vader's ship and explodes like a dummy and a hero. You know, he stopped the war. Where's his medal? Where's his princess and dog portrait?
Han still took the shot though. If he didn't shoot the other fighter, then the dummy wouldn't have careened off and slammed into Vader, and then Luke would have been screwed.
But the facts remain. Luke was lucky that pilot was dumb, and Han was dumb for not shooting Vader first. Han never shoots first.
Ugh, you don't even grasp how terrible you're being. You lack the factual and historical grounding to comprehend how wrong you are.
All right, Han's super smart. Thank you, Han, for shooting not Vader.
Greedo, the special, George Lucas is just, cause you... Just watch the second one.
Too late, cause I watched it just now while we were talking.
Literally impossible.
Last thing I'm gonna say on it, I swear. Boba Fett is a terrible bounty hunter.
Boba Fett? Boba Fett? Ducks. Can't live with them unless you're good with animals and know how to take care of ducks. Can't live without them unless you don't like ducks. Now, you probably failed to notice that I didn't say can't live with them unless you're in the Star Wars universe. Probably because you're not constantly noticing when people don't mention Star Wars. But don't worry, I'm here to point that out to you. Because ducks are in Star Wars. They're everywhere in Star Wars. In the official novelization of A New Hope, as Obi-Wan Kenobi praises the piloting skills of a young Luke Skywalker, he tells him, still, even a duck has to be taught to swim.
To which Luke rightfully replies, "What's a duck?" To which Obi-Wan frustratingly answers, "Never mind." This could be seen as a cute little wink to the reader, since, as we all know, this takes place a long time ago in a galaxy way over there. But this isn't the only instance of ducks being brought up in Star Wars. In A Phantom Menace, as a ship is going down, Captain Panaka explains, "If we can't get the shield generator fixed, we'll be sitting ducks." And nobody's like, "What's a duck?" Now, this could easily be seen as a terrible mistake on the part of acclaimed screenwriter George Lucas. After all, in a universe bound together by a mystical force and overflowing with force ghosts, we still have characters saying things like, "I'll see you in hell." So, maybe they believe in hell, or maybe it's just easier to use colloquial phrases so we're not scratching our heads when we hear things like, "I'll see you in Glemby," or "If we can't get the shield generator fixed, we'll be sitting fligs." Even though we also hear things like Tauntaun and Rancor and a bunch of other made-up nonsense like Discroony Dopot Sleemo. Thank God they used Earth language for that, otherwise I'd be confused. But elsewhere in Phantom Menace, we literally see ducks. Of course, in later editions, these were digitally altered to be Peliki, because George Lucas is very clever. So Lucas clearly doesn't want there to be ducks, despite not changing the mention of sitting ducks to sitting fligs or Peliki. But he doesn't seem to mind mentioning tons of other animals from Earth. There's a bee in this very romantic scene between Padme and Anakin, and it has yet to be digitally removed. There are just like snakes on Dagobah. There are rats in Jabba's palace. There are owls on Endor, and in the Ewoks movie, there are horses just everywhere. Not aliens resembling horses, or rats or snakes, but just horses and rats and snakes. The most salt vehicle is called a chicken walker, and this happy fella is called a Kowakian monkey lizard. So, 2 in 1. Point is, Earth is everywhere in Star Wars. And this can actually be explained by a theory called convergent evolution, which basically explains how similar traits in animals can be found in completely different evolutionary chains. A horse might grow a duckbill, and a gopher might grow a duckbill, because duckbills are evolutionarily advantageous, regardless of your species or where you are. This seems to be a likely explanation, as George Lucas is known for his scientifically minded world building. Like how midichlorians, the magic bugs that live in your blood, can let you manipulate objects with a mystical force in less than 12 parsecs. In The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon celebrates the fact that there's always a bigger fish by calling something a fish. But the fish we see isn't a fish, it's a weird fish-like creature that swims. So maybe just swimmers are fish and flyers are birds. But the specifics are what makes this another galaxy. That's a Gloober fish, not a trout. It's a Peliki bird, not a duck. You could have a Jumbish bear, but you couldn't have a panda bear. Except, in the official novelization of Star Wars, there's this passage. "Bantha's all right," Luke whispered over his shoulder, not considering in the excitement of the moment that 3PO might not know a bantha from a panda. So now there are also pandas. And 3PO actually would probably know what a panda is because he also knows what dogs are.
Die, Jedi dogs!
Great movie. Okay, so maybe convergent evolution isn't quite right. That actually probably only explains the aliens in Star Wars. A tauntaun is a snow lizard with horns and fur and other traits similar to Earth animals because those traits are evolutionarily advantageous to them. But then there are the actual horses. There are the dogs. There are snakes. And falcons, probably. Okay, so let's like really try to unpack this, all right? Maybe like a fan theory. So we know this is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So the light we see emitted from that galaxy, as seen from Earth, is millions and millions of years old. So we now look up at the galaxy and we see Star Wars. We're seeing what happened millions and millions of years ago. Millions and millions of years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the Earth, Luke and 3PO were talking about ducks and dogs and pandas because they existed in their galaxy. Then, fan theory, at some point, they collected all of the Earth creatures onto a spaceship, a Boba's Ark, if you will, and traveled through hyperspace into our galaxy, crashing into Earth and killing the dinosaurs. What we thought was an asteroid was really a spaceship called the Centurion Hedgehog or whatever the f***. So after the crash and mass extinction of the dinosaurs, off the ship walked every species of Earth that we now know. Snakes, monkeys, lizards, and the most dominant Earth animal in the Star Wars universe, humans. So we, actually, are the descendants, fan theory, of the humans from Star Wars. The timing works out, as does every single other thing. Prove me wrong. Sorry, I'm now getting word that there's also a Star Wars novel called Alien Invasion that was commissioned by Lucas that dove into the origin of humans in the Star Wars galaxy by explaining that in the 25th century on Earth, humans were facing a totalitarian computer-controlled society, and so went back in time and traveled to another galaxy and then made Star Wars. So that novel was canceled. So actually, I think my theory holds up, and we're all descendants of the humans from Star Wars. Or wait, Fan theory, none of this matters. There's no reason for ducks in Star Wars other than George Lucas is lazy and not that great. And fan theory, Star Wars is kind of dumb. Also, fan theory, Supreme Leader Snoke is actually real tiny.
Well, hello. How can I help you?
I'm looking for the war room of the entire rebellious uprising.
You're in it. Big map's over there.
Perfect. Well, I'll be going now.
Did you get some good shots?
You do realize I'm not in the uprising, right?
Oh. Then why did you tell me?
To be honest, I only got into this line of work for the action.
What kind of action?
Oh my Star-Lord!
A chosen one.
Do we have no security? Sir, I just don't think it's a secret base as in secret is a comprehensive security plan. What do you mean you have a blaster, don't ya?
We have a guy full of space magic.
Space magic is a myth. I don't know what you're talking about. He clearly died of a space heart attack. I'm very busy.
Okay, until someone new defects from the evil galactic hegemon, Ayla, I need you to cover Benny's duties.
I'm a technician, not a whatever Benny was. Clipboard guy, helper.
Fine, Wampus, if you help out, I won't make you talk about the fact that you definitely have space magic.
I get an office. And an andro. And slave girls. Take most of that off. Please.
We are at war with the clone armies of an unstoppable evil power. Now, if you just help me—
Wait a minute. Clone armies?
The enemy uses cloning technology to build endless battalions of a bounty hunter's dad.
So let's clone Benny. His DNA's all over the floor.
Good. I decree this settled. Now, back to the slave girl initiative.
People, that won't work. The process will grow him to adulthood immediately. We can program his personality however we want, and oh my, wow, it would work. There are moral issues, though.
Are there?
What happens to the soul, you know? And it's, I don't know, determining someone's life purpose for them? Yikes. Morals.
We wouldn't want to turn into the bad guys.
Exactly.
Even if we're only creating 1% of 1% of the number of clones they've created.
Exactly.
And even if the Doom-based plans we stole included cloning instructions that look easy to replicate.
Exactly. What?
And even if that pile over there is stuff Benny was supposed to do in the last 10 minutes.
Someone be a dear and slave girl me some space juice.
This is so wrong.
So are poverty, slavery, and the sex bits of Bar Show 5.
Disagree.
Who am I? What is my purpose?
Your purpose. Your purpose is to work?
To work. That's all? Just to work. Forever. Sounds good. How can I help you?
Clothes.
Toy. Close. I'll be right back.
I feel like he's gonna decide working for the rest of his life isn't worth it.
That sounds like everyone I know.
Whenever you're done hogging the machine.